This is the story of how I found out I had dyslexia. There was always signs, and before I get into like the story and details and everything, I'm a little bit under the weather with like a runny nose, so I might like sniffle here and there. As you can see from the thumbnail and the title, I made broccolini, potatoes, steak, and lobster tail with chimichurri sauce. Hopefully y'all get to see how that's made, because this is also the first time I made that. So like I said, there was always signs I had dyslexia, at least in my earlier ages, like before high school. But before actually finding out there were signs, I just thought I was a dumb kid who didn't know how to read. I'm gonna discuss almost every sign in every grade level that I can remember. So from first to second grade, I was always like below the average and way below the average in terms of like reading comprehension and reading anything out loud. Low-key, I kind of sounded like how Kai Sanat does right now, trying to read whenever I was like from first to third grade. From what I remember in elementary, it's not just in first grade, the teacher would like sit with you one-on-one and you would read like a small little paragraph or story, and they would time you with that kind of paragraph. Every time I would read it, my time was very slow compared to the other kids in the class. The only reason I know this is because sometimes I would ask how fast people would read or slow, just to see if I was either the same as them, better, or worse. And most of the time I was worse. Also, most of the time, I would say from first to fourth grade, these small little paragraphs, I would read them out loud to the teacher, but I would have no memory of what I just read. It just like went in one ear and went out the other. I did not comprehend what I was reading, to be honest. I was that low-key. I was probably but like I said, the teacher would ask questions on about that small story you would read out loud to them. Most of my answers at the time were like, I don't know, like I don't know what I read. The teacher would also ask questions about characters within these small paragraphs. Most of the time I didn't know the answer because I was not really comprehending what I was reading. And whenever I would read very slow. I would have to put like my finger. I was like one of those kids that you would make fun of when you would read. There was letters to me that were being like jumped around. It's hard to explain if you're not dyslexic, or if you know someone who is and they kind of tell you similar things where either letters or full-on words would like mix around, and it would confuse me not knowing what was actually being read. That's probably another reason why I couldn't comprehend what I was reading. I noticed I was one of the slowest readers in the classroom after this point, especially during elementary, middle school, and I would say most of high school. Fast forward to third grade, we have our first state exam, and in Texas it's called the STAR exam. This was actually the first time it was called the STAR exam. It was called something else before. Can't remember exactly what it was called. But for those not familiar with it, you have 4 hours to take an exam for math and reading in third grade. This happens in every grade level from third to eighth. So when it came to math, that was my strongest subject, so that didn't really take me long to finish. It took me almost a full time, but not really. It took me 3 hours and 30 minutes to finish that exam. But when it came to the reading exam in every grade, I basically would get halfway through and I was already pretty much running out of time. There was like 3 hours and 50 minutes have gone by and I'm barely halfway through the exam. So majority of the time, whenever I was taking these exams, I would guess the final half of the exam. So as you can imagine, when you guess half the final of the exam, you're probably not gonna do well. And I didn't do well in my third grade. I remember I failed it. So that's another sign where I noticed. I know I'm a slow reader, but I didn't know I was so slow that I couldn't finish an exam. In the fourth grade, same thing happened, except there was an additional exam. It was called the writing exam. I would say I was able to finish this one because it was half reading and half writing. And half the reading part is more of a grammar and spelling, more than like reading comprehension. And with the writing, it was pretty simple because you just write based on the prompt you're given, and there's like a hint, not a hint, but there's a quote, and you can use that quote as a reference whenever you're writing your essay pretty much. So in fourth grade, I passed all three exams. In math, I passed it with flying colors. The writing, I think it was about like average, and the reading, I think I barely passed, or at the borderline of passing and failing. I would say in fifth grade, my reading got better, only because this is whenever I start reading bigger books. And to be bigger books at the time were like the Percy Jackson books, the Harry Potter books, the Aragon books. However, I did still need help on reading these kind of books. I would go online on YouTube, search up the audiobooks for every book that I was reading. Actually, before even reading a book, I always make sure there was an audiobook so I could know I was able to read it. At the time, there wasn't many audiobooks. Nothing was really digital at the time. It was still like CDs. Or on YouTube, they would have certain books that were audiobooks, but for free. They were free at the time, but they're no longer free now. Like I said, the audiobooks helped me out a lot because it was helping me read faster. Even with the audiobooks, there were still times where words and letters would jump around for me. Whenever I did use these audiobooks as well, I had the physical book with me, so I was reading along and listening. I wasn't just listening to the audiobook like a podcast. There was also one time where there was a book that everyone was reading in fifth grade, and I couldn't find an audiobook for it on YouTube. And the book I'm talking about is the first book of Series of Unfortunate Events. There's also a movie about it. So I got FOMO since everyone else was reading it, and I couldn't read it myself because I was scared that I was not gonna be able to comprehend what was being said in the book. So my mom basically read me the entire book. And I would say her reading it did help out, because she would also ask questions to me, making sure I'm understanding what's going on and what is being said. So thank you, Mom. But my teacher in fifth grade hated me. Remember how I said we were supposed to read like paragraphs to the teacher and they would ask us questions? Well, this one in particular, she would ask like normal questions every teacher would ask. But let's say I didn't know the answer or I wasn't comprehending what I was reading, she would yell at me. She was like, "What do you mean you don't know what you read?" She literally said, I think, if I can recall, "Don't be an idiot, read it again." I read it again, but this time kind of scared because she was being mean. And I'm only like 10 years old at this point, so I was a kid. I still couldn't comprehend what I was reading, but having her yell at me kind of scared me. So I just came up with like random answers, hoping they were right. I don't know if they were right. I doubt they were right because there was one time I think on my report card, I got a 9 out of 100 in my comprehension. But it wasn't only to me. She would also like tell other kids things. We're only like 10 years old, so I don't know why she has beef with little kids. There was a time where she told the entire class where you guys are gonna be nothing if you don't pass these exams. And she was talking about the STAR exams. And when it came to the STAR exams, in fifth grade, you take the math, science, and reading. Obviously, I passed the math and the science, but I failed the reading. I wasn't the only one though. But in fifth grade, you're supposed to pass all three, because if you don't pass all three, you don't go on to sixth grade, which is middle school. So if you were to fail one of the three, they will keep you behind. Or at least that's what I remember. I don't remember the exact details of it. But I did take it a second time and then I failed it again. Bruh. And the main reason why I'm failing these exams is because, like I said, I'm a slow reader. So I'm only pretty much actually taking half the exam and the other half I'm guessing on what is going on. Because I was putting abacadabra like Kevin Hart did the last half of the exam. And this teacher, man, she was an asshole. She like called me a disappointment. Your parents will be disappointed in you. Like all these things like you could think of that were mean. And then I had to go to summer school after that. Thank God she wasn't my teacher. In summer school I had another teacher, and she was actually very helpful. Third time This was like the final chance you get as well. And I did pass it this time. After 3 times, it was a pain in the ass. It's funny too, because I remember where I was when I heard that I passed this exam. My mom got the call, and we were in New York in the 9th story of the Macy's mall, where I think it's 11 floors. And she got the news that I passed the exam, and we were both happy about it. So I was finally able to go on to the next grade level. There was a pattern as well whenever I would take these exams. So in the odd grade levels, I would pretty much fail the reading exam. In the even grade levels, I would pass the reading exam. So 3rd I failed, 4th I passed, 5th I failed, 6th I passed, 7th I failed, and 8th I passed. Not that I'm talking about this, that 5th grade teacher, she put me in this one class called iStation, and what it is, it's supposed to help you improve on your reading comprehension. At least that's what I can remember. Was it helpful? Probably not. I cannot remember because I don't remember much of it. But after leaving 5th grade, this teacher kind of brought my self-esteem down to the point where I just knew I was dumb, or that was my mindset. I was like a dumb kid because, like she said you were not going to be anything if you don't pass these exams. So for like some time from like 6th to 8th grade, I felt that same way. This is a funny little story too. You're supposed to take like a reading exam online, where you actually took exams for books whenever you would finish a book. I forgot the website or what it was called, but after taking these exams, you would get your expected grade level of what you're supposed to have. And in 7th grade, my friend and I, we were guessing on what our grade levels were gonna be. And well, in 7th grade, you're supposed to have a 7 point whatever, as long as it's a 7. And when our teacher came around and told us, like secretly, told me I was a 4.3 or 4.1, and then my friend was either the same thing or slightly higher than me. And we both started laughing because everyone else in the class was a 7 at least. And there were some people in the 12th grade reading level, which kind of blew our minds because we didn't think that was possible as a 7th grader. I would say though, in 7th and 8th grade, my reading did get kind of better in terms of I was a little bit faster. Instead of being halfway through these exams, the STAR exams, I was at least 3/4 of the way. We're almost done. And in the 8th grade, I believe I barely finished on time, with barely enough time to like take a double look at my exam. After finishing any exam for the STAR test, there would be a teacher that would come in and ask for any extra timers. 3rd to 8th grade, I would always ask myself, if I didn't finish my exam, would I be considered one of those people that get extra time? It didn't occur to me at the time that those were the people who had disabilities that got the extra time. I didn't figure that out until I asked my dad in high school. So fast forward to high school, my freshman year, my reading got a little bit better, but I was still seeing like letters and words, even numbers, jumping around, moving around like on a page or something. In high school, you still take these STAR exams, except it's called English 1 and English 2, and English 1 is freshman year, English 2 is sophomore year. You don't have to take any more STAR exams, at least reading wise, after your sophomore year. So I take the English 1 exam, and I had to guess on the last quarter of the exam, kind of because I was a slow reader still. I ended up passing, but barely. Also, the number one reason why I'm very slow at reading is because I'm reading these stories or paragraphs, depending on what is in the exam, like 2 to 4 times. And I'm sure the entire class only read it once, and I had to read it multiple times to fully understand what I was reading. And then there was a random day, I saw a YouTube video talking about dyslexia, and I went on a deep rabbit hole trying to understand what it is, because at the time I really didn't understand really what it was. I heard of it, I just didn't know exactly what it is and what it does to people. And then I saw that there are symptoms to it, or what can be symptoms to people who have dyslexia. and I felt that I was having those same symptoms. So my mom is a counselor at the district that I was going to. So I had to ask her if she could somehow get me a test or an exam to confirm or deny that I was dyslexic or not. And this was going on for a couple of months. I was asking at the start of my sophomore year, going towards the end of my sophomore year, and I finally got my exam. But it sucked too because it was on the last day of class, my sophomore year. So on the last day of class, I didn't get to hang out with all my friends or be playing like games, sports, or playing video games because everyone brought like different things. I had to sit in a small room, like the size of a closet, with another person that was in charge of determining whether I had dyslexia or not. But they wouldn't determine then and there. They would just give me an exam and then look at the results later. So I do this exam. Some of it is common sense to me. Some of it was like a math exam and like looking at shapes and remembering the shapes. It was like very weird kind of exam. It wasn't just reading and writing. It was also like memorizing numbers, letters, shapes, a mix of both. It was very weird. And then after all that, the proctor or the person who was like giving me this exam was telling me that, oh, you won't find out on the results until you come back for your junior year.
Oh, great heavens!
So I had to wait like 3 to 4 months to finally find out. So fast forward to September of my junior year, I see that my dad and my mom are in an office, and the person who took the exam is there, and also my counselor is there, and they're having a discussion of the results. And I wasn't really involved until later. And basically, they told me, oh, yes, you do have dyslexia, and you've had it since you were in first grade, maybe even before first grade. And it kind of blew my mind that after years and years of not knowing that I had it, but having that feeling I had it, kind of felt relieved, but at the same time, it made me feel like I was an idiot because in my head at the time, I would think the people who had dyslexia were dumb or idiots. At least that was my mindset because that's what I saw people online. People were making fun of people who had dyslexia, and then my friends will send me memes about it whenever they found out, especially the Bella Thorne meme. So after that, then I was finally able to get extra time on exams, some homeworks, not all homeworks, but some homeworks, essays, pretty much different assignments that I was given. They also gave me extra time for like SAT and ICT exams. Yeah, there were still times in class where I had slip ups in like popcorn reading or something. There was one time where I was reading the Salem witch trials, like a passage about it in class, and the word was supposed to be high roads, but I read it as railroads, and my friends next to me started laughing, and I started laughing too after, but it was kind of whatever as well. But having dyslexia didn't stop me like passing classes and being at the top of my class. So even though I didn't find out years later until I had it, I was still going through school like I didn't have it. So it didn't stop me. Um, it might have put me down for a while, but I was able to get back up. I went to college, and in college, I did have like extra time compared to other people because of the disability. But yeah, this is how I found out I had dyslexia. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever you're interested in learning about me. Um, and this is the food that I made.